Sourdough Sam.
No, Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Sourdough Sam.
Sourdeath Sam.
Disrespect to Sourdeath Sam will not continue.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Got great news, guys. Got great news.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
got a week 1 W. Feels good, man. Feels good. We didn't know. We didn't know what we were in for because at the end of the day, we have a tendency to start slow sometimes. But clearly God had enough forgiveness in his heart to give us the win. So shout out the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Feels good, man. We got a really amazing show today. I've got some good news. I've got some bad news. I'm going to start with the bad news. My friend Kyle 5000, he's feeling a little sick today. I know. So he will not be able to join us. But if you do want to talk to him, he is always on Twitter like the asshole that he is. So if you want to interact with him, tag him under any tweet that doesn't already have his name tagged in it. His handle is at the Kyle 5000, and he is obsessed with 2019. Loves that team to death, and we'll actually get into my thoughts on our defense, but loves 2019, obsessed with it. He also is very obsessed with Rich Madrid in a sexy way, and he's very obsessed with Grant Cohn in like a dangerous way. So I've already informed Grant that I'm keeping the robot on a leash. Grant's ready for war. He's gonna battle anyone, right? He's a tough guy. And,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
but we're not gonna be able to talk to him today, and that sucks. But here's the good news. You know who we do get to talk to? That's right. The audience knows. The audience knows. We are going to be talking to Steph Sanchez, the GOAT. She's honestly one of my favorite people doing the content creator scene right now because on top of her just being really sharp and really excellent at what she does, her drip is like phenomenal. Like probably one of the best dressed people, not only on 49ers Twitter, maybe in the world.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm just saying. So we got a good show. I'm really excited. Speaking of which, she's showing love right now. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
We got people in the chat. This guy right here, he likes the stream. And hey, you know what, Ryan? We like you, buddy. All right. Time for me to shut up and get real. The 49ers are on track for what could be an amazing season. I think one of the things that has come up lately is that arguably one of our greatest fears coming into the season is now potentially one of our biggest strengths. And what I mean by that is our defense. There are obvious holes that all of us who have been following kind of know about, but there are folks on the inside who were there in 2019 who feel very strongly, or at least are mildly convinced that this team could exceed the stature of defensive performance that they had in 2019. That would obviously be great news because our offense is humming. And you know that because we won our first game without some bullshit getting in the way, whether it be clunky play calling, whether it be boneheaded interceptions. We played a really good game of clean football. Brock Purdy, 19 of 29. We'll get into that later, but no interceptions. That's a huge, huge piece of this puzzle being glued together for success is the turnover game. Our sexy, handsome turnover machine is now in Las Vegas. I do wish him well. I call him a sexy turnover machine, but he was a gentleman. Clearly, he was beloved in the locker room. I wish him well. But we have Brock Purdy. And based on what we've been hearing from the wide receivers who are a part of this organization, who catch balls from him every day, they're stoked on what they're getting from him, not only on a performance standpoint, but they're also stoked based on what he brings as far as his moxie, his chutzpah. And I like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
More chutzpah 2023. That's my motto. That's what I've been. That's my favorite saying, as LeBron says. Undefeated season incoming. Yeah, baby. Why not? Why not? Let's 2 undefeated seasons back to back coming up. Obviously, Rear Factory 69 is going to follow that up with a catch balls. That's what we do around here, baby. That's what we do around here.
Yes, sir.
Enough about that. Let's talk about money. All right. Hold on. Let me get catch balls off the screen for a second. All right. I got to be serious here for a minute. Everyone should get into gambling. Not like too heavy, but just a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean $5 a week. With the Sourdeath Sam $5 pick. I'm not even sponsored by these motherfuckers. I get like the lamest, like I get like $10 maybe at best if you guys sign up. But so do you, I think. I don't know. Anyways, I think Darren Waller, he's dealing with something. I'm going lower than 54.5 receiving yards. Obviously, he's a very important target for them. But I don't know. I feel like he's dealing with something. So I'm gonna pray on that. I'm gonna say lower. Bijan, I'm going higher, dude. I think that dude's a stud. 67.5 rushing yards. What are they gonna do? Pass the ball? Maybe. But I think Bijan, they got him for a reason. I think they're going to push him past 67.5. You tell me. I say higher. Brock Purdy, the GOAT.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think, look, I think they're going to want to run the ball a lot against the Rams. We'll get into that later too. But 217.5 passing yards, I'm going higher. A.J. Brown, 5.5 receptions. I'm going higher than that too. And Tua, dude, he came out of the gates killing. Yeah, sure. Over 277 yards. Why not, dude? Why not? That's what I say. Why not? You got Tyreek Hill. He's faster than hell. And I think they're going to do big things like Phil Jackson. Nathan Banks. Hello, Sam and crew. Oh, dude, we got the illest of crews today. We got Steph in the house, dude. I'm really fired up to get her in here. But I'm gonna do one last segment here. I know you're all waiting for Steph. I get it. I am too. I'm sick of listening to myself talk. But for the rest of the season, that's what I'm gonna do every Wednesday. So I got one last little bit here. It's not really a bit. I'm actually kind of excited for this. It's time to pull out, boys. Give me a second. I got some vintage NFL cards that I ordered off of eBay. Hold on, let me make this really intimidating. Yeah, that's so good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
yes,
I'm gonna randomly pick one of these packs. I don't even know. Like, I hope these aren't like the ones you just got from the cereal box. Like, I think these are real deal. So we're gonna find out. I'm gonna just pull one out. I'm gonna close my eyes with my gloves on and just finger my way through this. Okay, this feels good. Oh, I got like the cheapest. I pulled out like the cheapest looking one. These look like you get them out of a cereal box. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna pull out like a Captain Crunch rookie card. Let's find out. Okay, I gotta be more gentle. I'm really bad at this. This is the first time I've ever like. I don't really. I have a bunch of Pokemon cards somewhere, but I never really did football cards. But I'm kind of excited. I'm hoping this won't be a boring segment. I'll try to make like a bit out of it somehow. Let's find out. Okay. Ooh, okay. Oh, these jerseys are so sick. All right, I got Ray Childress. Let me see if I can just cover. Yeah, this beefy boy out of Houston. Look at him, dude. He looks like he drives trucks and says questionably offensive things. Tyrone Braxton. It's funny. I don't know who most of these people are, dude. I'm just winging it. I was like born 2 years before these cards were printed, so my bad. If there's any fucking boomers in here, you could just let me know in the comments if I got a good one. Tony Eason. I think that name sounds familiar. Let me know if anyone in the chat right now discovers a card that's going to make me a millionaire. Let me know. I'm going to stop the stream and I'm going to do real things with my life. Louis Sharp. I'm only going to show you guys the ones that I think matter, and if none of them matter, so be it. Paul Gruber, Brian Blades. Hold on, I got to show this one. Brian Blades as a wide receiver. That's like a Madden character that I would create. That's sick, dude. Good job, Brian. It's valuable to me, you know. Brian Blades, Ron Morris. Come on, give me like a Jerry Rice or like a Paul Tagliabue rookie card. Keith Jones, Eric Allen. Oh, Eric Allen. That's a nice one. You like that? You like that? I got a few more. Don't worry. Ooh, I got a Herschel Walker. Savage when he was in Minnesota. How about that, huh? Yeah, I see Steph in the green room nodding her head. I think there's potential there. Let me know in the comments, or don't. You can leave the chat. I get it. Yeah, most of those, I don't know them. So if I don't know them, they're garbage. All right. Good news, everybody. I'm done talking to you just by myself. I have someone very... Oh, this is not affirmations. Hold on, there's a mess in here. First of all, we're not hanging out with Andrew anymore. I mean, we are, but just not tonight. Let me get rid of affirmations. Perfect. Great. Thanks for waiting on that with me, guys. All right, I've got Steph Sanchez in the house. Applause. Air horn. Yes, sir. Yay.
Yes, sir.
I love her. I'm going to talk to her with the gloves on to make things uncomfortable. I think she would like that. So let's go ahead and bring her in. Steph Sanchez in the house. Oh, dude, we're really here. Look at us. Look at us, dude. Look at us.
I just want to say this is like the most unhinged like 49er show I've ever seen, but I love it. I love it.
I feel like that's the common feedback I've gotten, which is cool because like it draws me closer to the people who I fuck with, and I'm sure like I don't want to damage anyone's reputation. So if by any means your reputation is slandered by being on the show, feel free to throw me under the bus in front of the press. Like just say I lied to you, that this was going to be like, you know, I don't know, like Greg Papa was going to be here. But I'm happy you're here. I really am.
I'm excited.
I don't know if you heard me earlier, but like, I'm really, your drip is immaculate. Like when I see your fits on like social media or whatever, I'm like, dog, she knows, dude. She knows.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Gotta give you
Yes,
props.
sir.
Thank you.
Anyways, how are you doing? How's your week? How you feeling?
I'm good. I feel like today was busy for some reason. I feel like I've been doing shows quite a bit today. But shout out Randy in the comments who did the hashtag 49K in the comments. I see you.
Oh yeah.
Time to get that going because like I see other people's lives and they have their little hashtags that they do. People join and they're like hashtag CC, hashtag like I forget Brad's. Brad's has like the sourdough.
Oh yeah, he's SDS.
SDS. There you
he's
go.
SDS. Yeah.
And so there you go. Like I don't know why I never thought hashtag 49K, but someone just did it, and I was like, oh yeah.
That's the move. In the description of this video, when I go back to pour over the details, I'll make sure I stick 49K in there. And so walk me. I'm really curious about like before we go into the 49er stuff, because I feel like this is the first time you and I have really been able to talk. So I don't really care about anyone else. Let's hang out for a minute.
Right.
What was sort of your journey and pathway into creating content and like involving yourself into the level that you are now today?
What's crazy is Twitter, I think, is what kind of started me like wanting to do more 49ers related content. But this was back when like Twitter became a thing and 49er fans started to go on it, and beat writers started to share 49ers news on it, like in the prime of
The
Twitter,
good old
like
days.
the good old days. So back then I did start a 49ers fan account. Some of you may know it as 49ers Hub.
That
So I
was you?
I started that, yeah. And
Whoa.
yeah, it grew to like a point that I felt like it was too much at the time for me to like even take on. Because it's a lot of work to stay up to date on that stuff and keep other people up to date. So back then I was like, no, like I'm gonna take a step back. So then, some other good people took it over. Shout out Cal B because he was one of those guys. Scott as well. Evan, those guys. Uh, but yeah, so like after that, after like stepping away from it, I kind of just was on Twitter as a fan only, and I wasn't doing any like content or anything like that. Always like involved though, like but not known to the extent I guess I am right now. It was like Javi who actually approached me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, like I'm thinking back then it was 49ers GM or 49ers
Yep.
Goldmine,
Yep.
that site that he put together, and he wanted to have like a network of like different content creators and whatnot. So he was thinking putting together like a female 49ers podcast. So he had Angie on it, and he was thinking me as the other person. So we started that. That's what became 49 Carats podcast. At first it was like me and her. Um for like a year and a half is when we did it. And that really is what started me being back into content creation. And I never imagined myself to be like a podcaster. I didn't listen to podcasts. I would say I'm not even good at like speaking, or like I don't find myself entertaining. uh so like it's been this process of me like trying to get better at it like over time. But yeah, so it's been a fun journey, and now I'm here with you, and I've met some great people through all this, so I'm very thankful for it.
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out Javi. Really, really great dude. Shout out Angelina Martin.
Yes,
And
I was wondering where the clap was. I was like, whoa,
no,
cricket.
that's the audience. Yeah, no, don't worry. They're being patient. And shout out to you because first of all, you got a great voice for podcast, video, and on top of that, you're just excellent. Like I was really excited to have you on. It was funny. We for those not in our text message thread slash DMs, whatever. We basically had the same thought at the same time, which was like, I would really like to get Steph on. For some reason, she thought she really wanted to get me on. So this Sunday, I think I will be
Yes.
on, unless the PR
Post
crisis
game.
kicks in, and then I'll be cast to the curb. But post game, get ready.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be talking
Yes,
49ers
sir.
versus Rams like we are about to right now. First of all, let's jump into just recapping what happened last week. Was I alone in thinking that this might be another slow start situation? I mean, the Steelers looked like they had pretty good momentum coming in from the preseason, which lesson learned, preseason doesn't matter. But still, they looked like they were humming. It looked like we had our own issues, particularly on defense. How did you feel coming out of that game, and how would you assess Brock Purdy's performance coming out of Pittsburgh?
Well, I was definitely with you that going into it, I think I was also concerned about them possibly dropping this game, not because the Steelers are a better team. Like, that's never the case. It's never the case the 49ers are not the better team, because they are. But, there are other factors that go into, a team losing a football game, in particular the 49ers. Week one, slow start, that's definitely a concern for me. But right out of the gate, I think what we saw from Brock Purdy, the defense, is that they were not playing games. They came in it and they had all the energy. They were electric. I do feel like part of that maybe was aided by Nick Bosa getting that extension
I
in
agree.
the nick of time, just a week ago, days before, they were going to fly out. So to me, that gave them like a little bit of a boost going into it. And so they felt good. And you can tell that they felt good. They felt confident. I loved the fact that when Patrick Peterson said those things about getting the pick before the game, all Brock Purdy said was, "We'll see," with a smirk on his face. And that smirk told me, okay, he's got confidence. And this is the quiet confidence that we see from Brock Purdy, right? It's not like this cockiness. It's just this swag that comes out when he plays. So I really appreciate that from Brock. And man, I just think a lot of people were expecting Brock to maybe take a step back at some point this year. And sure, it's just week one, right? But I think he doesn't look like a guy that's going to take a step back. He looks
I
like
agree.
someone who I think is going to continue getting better. He's a smart player, so he's going to continue to get smarter. And so I think that's something exciting for this offense, because I think we've already seen the little things that he does well that are able to take this offense to another level. He's not that much better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's what he does better than Jimmy Garoppolo that puts this offense, I think, at a kind of a different tier than what they were before. Because, and I think KP said it earlier after the game, he said, you no longer have a quarterback who's hitting just singles. Like, you have a quarterback who's willing to hit the doubles, and that's Brock Purdy, right? So I think Kyle's going to have a lot of fun, and he has a lot of trust in Brock Purdy, and I have a lot of trust in him too. So I'm really excited for this season and watching Brock Purdy grow.
Totally. And I think what I was talking about it. So yesterday I did a show with Ryan Hensley. Shout out Ryan Hensley. Applause. Ann Brooks, who's the man. And one of the things that I brought up on that show is that the difference between like Jimmy and Brock was that Brock not only wasn't a high draft pick coming in, he was up against someone who had far more tools on paper than he did. And so the only thing he could do was get his PhD in that playbook and know exactly how to be an extension of Kyle Shanahan as much as he could, because at the end of the day, that's the person he had to impress, and he knew it. Because at the end of the day, Kyle's word's going to go a long way. And it's clear to me that because he got his PhD in Kyle's system, he is much more of an extension of Kyle's sort of mind and arm than he could have probably have ever dreamed of. I think that the dream of having a super fast Ferrari that could add another wrinkle to his offense that he was salivating over, I think those days are at least curbed for now. But he has a quarterback who's exceptional at scrambling, and can really be a master at all the other things that frankly makes his offense great without that extra wrinkle. So I'm really excited to see what he puts together, and I'm loving the confidence. I think it's such a unique element that I honestly didn't think we knew we would get out of him, when we were watching him in preseason, obviously before he had to come in and start. We're like, oh, this guy's promising. I've seen promising backups before, but it's just, you see him on the field. When you see him on the field and he does some cocky ass shit and you smile back at him watching the TV, like, I love that feeling, right? Like, that's one of the coolest things about being a fan, is when like you can connect with that energy that a player's giving you, and he's good at it. And clearly, if we feel it through the TV, these players are feeling it in real life, and it's clear at this point, because people are very much going on the record to be like, to toss around the it word with pretty reckless abandon at this point. I wouldn't say reckless abandon, but pretty liberally is a better way to say it.
I mean, Kyle said he was a real deal, right? Like,
Right.
They're calling him. They're calling him, or they're saying he has the it factor. Like, you're hearing all these good things about Brock Purdy from people who are around him. What did we hear about Jimmy Garoppolo? He's a great leader. He's a great guy,
Yeah.
And he won games. Like, that was the thing with Brock Purdy that, no one could really argue with, and that was true. But yeah, I just think Brock Purdy just gives you a little something extra. And the fact that he's so young, I think you also can rally around that, because you're like, this guy could get better. And I know that Brock Purdy has limitations. Look, we all know it, but I don't think those are limitations that necessarily hurt the 49ers. Like I think you can work around those things, and we saw in week 1 how efficient he was in between throws, 10 to 19 yards. I'll try to pull up the numbers really quick, but he was absolutely efficient within those numbers and throwing beyond the sticks. On pass attempts between 10 to 19 yards, he was 9 of 10, 151 yards, and he had the 2 touchdowns that were immediate passes. So it's just impressive, right? And I also saw another stat that like this was the lowest amount of yak that I think the 49ers had in the game since Kyle Shanahan became the coach, or something like that. It was like 2 point something yak per catch or something like that. And
It
that's
felt,
crazy because
yeah.
like you think about this offense and you're like, oh, a bunch of yak guys, and that's how Brock Purdy is able to, pad his stats, and that's what makes him look so good because he has all these guys. And yes, like that does help, obviously, but you got to remember, and I think we understand it because we actually watch Brock Purdy play, right? And we know what it looked like before him. So watching him play, I think we see just a difference that those things make.
And before we go on to the Rams, I'll say the one last sort of like Jimmy Brock combo thing is I remember when Jimmy would have some time in the pocket and he'd look, and he'd wait, and he'd gear up to throw. I was like holding my breath, like, where is this gonna go? And with Brock, when I see him step back and identify his target, I have so much more confidence. If anything, in my head, I'm thinking he's got you, and that's like a
Yeah.
huge difference because Jimmy's a gunslinger, and I love that about him. But at the end of the day, I feel much more comfortable in the warm embrace of Brock Purdy. Where I don't feel comfortable is our offensive line, and we are about to play the Rams, and there's a concern there because at the end of the day, this precious young buck of a quarterback and our run game is going to really need some help from the right side of that line. We ran a lot of plays to the left when we played the Steelers.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident that the folks down there in Los Angeles are going to watch the tape and see that. So, where do you think this is going to go? And do you think it's an Achilles heel and a potential for a trap game because of it?
Well, I'll ask you, do you think the Steelers' defensive line is better or the Rams' defensive line is better? I know that the Rams have Aaron Darnold and Donald, and there's no denying he's like the best interior defensive lineman of this generation. But as a unit, like, do you think the Steelers' defensive line is better or the Rams?
Well, I
Right
think
now.
Steelers, obviously, but I do
Yeah.
think that particularly in the passing game, I'm concerned that even if they doubled Aaron Donald, that there could still be issues at hand. And certainly they're going to double Aaron Donald because neither of the two on the right side are going to be able to handle him by themselves.
I've been saying it. Daniel Brunskill ain't walking through that door, so
know.
you're gonna
Shout
have
out
to
Daniel
you're gonna have to
Brunskill.
double him. But
I miss you, buddy.
but I mean, I look at it like this because the 49ers were still able to put up 30 points. We're still able to have
Yep.
a very efficient game, even despite, the offensive line maybe, um, not being the best. And I did see there's like a aggregated score of pass protection. So like PFF, Sports Info Solutions, and ESPN all have like different scores for pass protection, and so this one just kind of like compiles it into one average. So the 49ers ranked 24th. The Steelers, funny enough, ranked 25th. But yeah, but that's the point of how this game kind of went, right? Like the 49ers offensive line didn't look great, especially that right side, as you mentioned. But despite that, they were still able to win. Now, yes, I think the right side of the line is definitely a concern for me. The penalties from Spencer Burford, and now he's going
Yeah.
to be playing Aaron Donald. I mean, that's crazy. And then Colton McKivitz. I don't think we really know too much about Colton McKivitz. All we know is that he struggled against TJ Watt. Okay, a lot of guys struggle against TJ Watt. So how could we really assess how he may or may not do in this game, right? I don't really know. I'm hoping he has a better day, but obviously just being on the same side as Aaron Donald is going to be bit of a handful for Colton McKivitz and Spencer Burford. So the interesting thing will be, you mentioned that the 49ers ran most of their run plays to the left side. Smart of them to do. But I'm curious to see if maybe this week they go right at Donald. You know what I mean? Like sometimes for players who are very aggressive like that,
True.
running plays at them is kind of the way to go. So we'll see if the 49ers feel like that's the best strategy, but definitely you want to I would hope that Kyle Shanahan is prepared to help that side out if needed. And Colton McKivitz did say, like when he watched the film, oh, it's just easy fixes. easy fixes
Easy
is what he
fix.
saw. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
just rub some dirt on it, Colton.
Yeah.
We're good to go. So
We'll
one thing that I noticed in the last game, and Kyle's come out and pleaded his case. Did you have that gut feeling once we were up in the fourth that our starters were in there a little too long? And based on what you've heard today from Kyle, do you accept the charges? Do you accept the reasoning that in order to stave off a surprise comeback, it is worth keeping the momentum of your starters in place? What are your thoughts on that?
He has mentioned that before, actually. It's not the first time he's been asked about keeping starters out there in a blowout, and I understand it. Those things come back to haunt you. This is the same guy who experienced a 28-3
Yes.
Super Bowl
damn right.
comeback as well. So my guy has trauma, all right? And so I don't blame him for exercising his demons in this way. But yeah, I mean, you do kind of hold your breath and hope that everyone stays healthy. I guess like my thing would be, I hope the players would be like, okay, I'm not going to be playing 100%. Like there's no reason for them, even if Kyle puts them out there to, play at 100% if the game is already been decided and you should probably be sitting on the bench already by that point to begin with. So take care of yourself, I would
make
hope
some business decisions.
Yeah, exactly. So Kyle is making a business decision that he thinks makes sense to him, or like a coaching decision. And the players, it's on them to make some business decisions.
But that if any of them are caught pulling some Chase Claypool blocking maneuvers, that they're going to get wrecked in the film room, even if it's the fourth quarter with 57 seconds left to go. Kyle's going to be like,
that's so true.
This is fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And they're going to be like, dude, like, I'm just trying to get out of here alive. But look, I'm with you.
Right.
And that's so real. He has so much trauma from that Super Bowl. It keeps him up at night every day. So it makes sense that comebacks are like a little bit of a touchy subject. But all I'm saying is, we got some really important skill position players. And if they go, say to IR, not good. All right.
It's just week one too. Like that's a crazy thing. It was just week one.
Hey man, I mean, and at a certain point, oh god, here's one of my favorite things about 49ers football when we're like really on our shit, especially particularly on defense. Watching the other team get demoralized. Yes. It's like there is a certain, and I've seen it happen like maybe 7 to 8 times over the Shanahan era, and you watch them break and you're like,
glorious.
Oh, we did it. Like you watch you watch the quarterback, you just see the look in their eyes, and like they don't have that confidence. What they're doing is they're like trying to like contain their trauma. They're thinking they want to get out. Here's what happens: it's like all the quarterback like rah leadership shit. That's that like they are holding on to that by a thread in their brain because all they want to do is quit, but they
Yeah.
know they can't because they're paid to not quit because they're the leader, even though their line is quitting. And I love when that happens. And it happens with the 49ers more often than other teams would hope. Frankly, it's probably why you see such a fall off of victories with teams that play us, is because people talk about it all the time. We are so physical.
Yeah.
So very excited to see more of that. I'm hoping to see it against the Rams. So what should we be looking for as we go into this final game?
Well, we already mentioned the right side of the line. That's definitely something to keep an eye on in this one, and it's going to be very key for this game. Another thing that maybe wasn't a big deal in week 1 because it didn't affect the final score is penalties. They actually had 11 penalties against the Steelers, and that ranked 31st in the NFL in week 1. So not great, right? So something they need to clean up. As I assume that they will, because the last couple years they haven't exactly been known to be like a penalty ridden team. So I think they'll clean it up, but definitely something you hope they do as soon as week 2. And another thing, like I've been thinking the Rams did look better than you would have thought, but also I think the Seahawks looked worse than you thought as well, right?
Yep.
So there might be a bit of the Rams coming into this game, feeling really good about themselves. On the other side, you might have the 49ers also feeling good about themselves. I mean, a team that, decides to wear their home red jerseys in a away game, like, I hope they're not jinxing themselves.
I
Um,
know. I didn't like that.
but
I'll like it if we win. I don't like it
I
right
like
now.
it. It's like I like the disrespect, but it's risky. It is a little risky.
Super
Um,
risky.
so Stafford obviously still good. His
Yep.
arm probably looks better than it did last year. I would say, and even despite not having Cooper Kupp, like they were able to move their offense and keep the ball rolling. Their run game looked pretty decent as well. Which in the past, like last year, think about their running game last year. That was kind of non-existent.
Right. It was Cam
Like
Akers
they
on
had
timeout or whatever the hell was happening, and then
yeah,
whoever was
I don't
left
know
to
what was,
share
and
the
then
carries.
he rejoined the team, right, and didn't really do anything until maybe like the last 2 games, but that kind of benefited obviously the 49ers and whoever else played the Rams last year because they were already by default one dimensional. I think last week we saw a more balanced Rams offense. So what the 49ers are going to need to do, and this is true for most teams that they go against, you want to make them one dimensional. One dimensional. They did it against the Steelers. The Steelers pretty much gave up on running the ball pretty early. They weren't getting much on the ground to begin with anyway. So you want to do the same thing with the Rams. That's step 1. Then you want to get pressure on Matthew Stafford because if he's comfortable, he's going to cook you. Like he's that good and he's really good. So, and I'm not saying getting pressure with blitzes because he's actually pretty good against the blitz. So you have to be careful with that and continue to rush 4, which based on week 1, I think the 49ers could do that, right? They showed that they can get a lot of pressure with just 4 guys. And even if, the Rams decide to double team Javon Hargrave, Eric Armstead, Nick Bosa, someone else is going to eat.
Yep.
Like Drake Jackson, maybe Clinton Farrell gets sacked this one. He came close, last week a couple times. So I think that's what it's going to take for the defensive line to just make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable. They've been able to do that in the past, so I expect that they'll be able to do it again. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, this 49ers team has kind of owned the Rams in the regular season, right? Even if you look at the one game that they won in the playoffs, right? It's been complete domination outside of that. So I would expect that the 49ers, should and will win this game, and they're gonna make the Rams look like the bad team that I think we thought they were from the beginning. Because their roster, Kyle Shanahan even mentioned, like, yeah, looking at some of their guys, like, you don't really recognize any of them besides their quarterback and Aaron Donald. Um, and that's partly because a lot of these guys are just like new or just bottom of the barrel guys who are now starting. So, yeah, I think Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to exploit their defense pretty easily in this one.
Yeah, I think on paper this is a victory.
Yeah.
And I hope it translates that way. I will presume it will. I there have been games like a Colt McCoy Cardinals team, for instance, that I thought was going to be a walk in the park, and we ran into challenges. I don't know. I don't think we will get there, but I am always on edge, wondering if we will run into a trap game at any point this season, because at least one trap game a year, seems to be apropos for the way we've operated over the past few years. So I'm always on trap watch as much as I can be. What I'm looking for in this game is I want to see if Drake Jackson, I want to take a bite into that gold nugget and see if it's real or not. Because from what we saw, that was a pretty incredibly impressive performance. Is he the beneficiary of a stacked defensive line? Probably, yeah. But at the end of the day, if he is able to continue his progress, where do you go? Like, where do you put your emphasis when you're game planning for your blocking scheme? Because at the end of the day, if everyone is a threat, then we're going to see a lot more demoralized offense football when our defense is on the field. And that's really exciting. So I'm looking to see what Drake Jackson does. I'm super concerned about the nickel spot. I don't know what is to come from that. I don't know. There's also the mystery of this cap space that appeared. There's a lot of speculation of, okay, don't worry, we're not even touching this right now. This is for something else. There are people who are wondering if it's for a move. Perhaps the answer is somewhere in between. But if our defense begins to show vulnerabilities over the course of the season, you have to imagine that this is perhaps something that's in their mind, and we shall see. I mean, you don't go to a player like George Kittle asking to restructure just because it was, your horoscope told you to do that week. There's clearly a strategy that they have in mind, and it's kind of fascinating not knowing what that strategy is going to be. Obviously, they haven't overtly said one thing or another, at least to my knowledge. So in the meantime, obviously the secondary appears to be the most vulnerable place in our defense. But as we have discovered over the years, they place a great deal of emphasis on the defensive line, and frankly, rightfully so. I think we've reaped the benefits of that ideology for years, and I would prefer they don't change it. So I look forward to them shoring up the secondary there. I think Wilkes has done an outstanding job so far, and I think just building that consistency is what I'm looking to see. So from the defense in general, and then if Drake Jackson can come in and give us even just a little bit of a flash of what he gave us week 1, I think we're in great shape.
I don't know about you, man, but I base all of my decisions on what my horoscope says. So
hey, you know what? Yeah, my horoscope said I was going to be wealthy and successful, so that tells you how smart horoscopes are.
It's probably the same horoscope that Patrick Peterson had, but Drake Jackson, Drake Jackson. I am looking forward to Drake Jackson, and the reason that I do think he does continue his production, maybe not 3 sacks every week, but I think he's still going to be effective and someone who's going to get this team a lot of pressures, because he had 6 pressures on 28 snaps on Sunday. Just 28 snaps. Like, he played less snaps than Nick Bosa did, and he was able to do all of that. So he was very efficient. And yes, you said it. I think he is the beneficiary of other guys getting a lot of the attention. But that's by design too. Like the
Yep.
49ers knew this was going to happen. That's why they sought out to get Javon Hargrave. That's why I don't think they really pressed too much to bring another high caliber like edge rusher. They brought in Clinton Farrell, and they were really putting a lot of trust in Drake Jackson to take that next step, which to me it looks like he has. If you looked at what he was able to do, yes, like you'll see Eric Armstead like collapsing the pocket, but if you also see what Drake Jackson was doing, his technique was nice too. So it wasn't just like a fluke performance, I don't think. And I like the role that he had actually, where he's really just coming in on passing downs, and that'll help keep him fresh, and it'll also just allow him to put his athleticism on display in those obvious passing downs. Now, as far as the nickel situation, that is really concerning, and
Yes.
it's one that I thought should have been like figured out already. They haven't figured it out. They literally had to make a change in game, and that's not what you want to see in week one, because like it has been this back and forth of Isaiah Oliver. Oh no, he's not looking too good, or oh we have competition, and that's why he's not the starting nickel. Oh, come on, Ambry Thomas. Like, show us what you can do. Ambry's taken another step this year, and then Ambry goes out there, and then, I don't know, is it too much confidence? Then he's starting to, make some bad plays out there. I guess, like, what Kyle Shanahan noted was it was some plays before the last drive before the half, which was the one that the Steelers scored on, the only scoring drive they had. Lenore did have a couple of penalties on that one, but I guess like Ambry Thomas had some miscues as well. So that's why they took Ambry Thomas out, and why you saw Isaiah Oliver more in the second half. Not ideal. I mean, and you're really at that point going back to Isaiah Oliver, because the guy you replaced Isaiah Oliver with wasn't doing well either. So I don't know if this is like a winning situation, no matter how you slice it right now. I think the 49ers have to hope that either one of these guys, and soon, steps up and finds whatever they had going for them before, when the 49ers thought that they should be the starting guy. I do think Isaiah Oliver will figure it out. I mean, because he's been that guy before, right?
Yep.
There was a reason the 49ers thought he was the best nickel in free agency. So I think he eventually finds that confidence, or whatever, is going on with him. I think he finds that again. But they need that to happen like ASAP.
Totally.
You can't go into the season and you play divisional games and have this not figured out yet. So hopefully, I don't even know who's going to start at nickel this week. I don't even know if the 49ers know, and that's not great. So yes, that is a big concern going into this week.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we see a sequence of explosive plays over the course of several games that are at the result of the nickel position falling flat, it's probably a situation we're going to need to address, because ultimately we have some really hard hitting offenses that we're going to have to face if we want to presume ourselves as Super Bowl opportunists. And the Cowboys are going to know where to strike, and Philadelphia is going to know where to strike. And at the end of the day, I'm just hoping they pull it together, because with such a massively intimidating front, it would be a shame to waste all that talent by just letting things slip with the defensive backs. So that's my piece on that. Anything else to look for? Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you've seen this show before. Of course you have. I've seen you in comments.
Yep.
Do you want to do affirmations with me? You don't have to, but I forgot to ask you. If you want to sign off, that's cool. But I like to do affirmations at the end of every show. I like to give some. I like to let people know they're doing good. You let me know. But last thing, go ahead and give me your last thoughts on Rams versus 49ers.
I did want to touch really quickly on the fact that they have, a ton of money, and that's pretty much like the ace up ace up their sleeve right now, right? I think it's like save it for a rainy day money because you don't know when you're gonna need it. And yeah, there are a few question marks right now. You hope you don't need it and guys figure it out, and then you can roll it over to next year, pay Brandon Ayuk with it. But it's nice to know that if there is something that ends up looking like a big issue, they could address it, by the trade deadline. So I do kind of expect that to materialize into something at some point, but we'll see. My final thoughts on this game, though, is that, I think the 49ers are going to get the job done. And I think before the game even starts, it's going to feel like it's all 49ers. And that right there is already demoralizing for the Rams. And yeah, they're probably used to it. Like their home stadium is there's no home field advantage there at
Correct.
any of their games. They're used to that. But it's different when you play the 49ers because there's so many 49ers fans out there and already in LA, and then they travel from the Bay too or wherever to go to that game. So I'm expecting a sea of red. The fact that they announced that they're going to be wearing their red jerseys, it's going to make it even worse. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. So even before, I think that's going to pump up the 49ers even more to know that, look, we're not even home, and like this is like a home game. And the Rams, I think it might have the opposite effect. Might deal with them. Keep in mind, there's a lot of young players on that team, so I don't know. Maybe it might mess with their psyche a little bit. But if that doesn't mess with them, then I think the 49ers defense certainly will. And that's usually how it goes with this team, right? And the thing is, it's always been the defense that has kind of caused the demoralizing, But I think we're at a point where we're starting to see the offense get in on it too. And it's very hard to stop this offense with what we've seen Brock Purdy do with it. And now like Christian McCaffrey as well, and how dominant he's looked against the few games he's played against the Rams. So I think all those things combined, it's going to be tough for the Rams to overcome that. Sean McVay's a great coach, so I think he will keep them in it for a bit, but the 49ers are eventually going to just run away with it.
That's sort of what I'm thinking too. As much as I like to be neurotic about what could or could not happen, I think that as much as the Rams have momentum, I think we've got momentum. And we have momentum with a stronger degree of force than I think the Rams do.
It's real.
Yeah, it's real on both ends, but it's really
not. They
real.
played
It's
the
really,
Seahawks, man.
Right. But I mean, they're feeling great. They've got a lot of confidence, but like they're about to get hit by a Mack truck. Like I think it's a different level of impact that these two moving, vehicles are going to collide at. And I personally think 49ers walk away with it. There's always a little bit of a concern of a trap game, but at the end of the day, I think our skill position players, let them know what time it is. I think between Hargrave, Nick Bosa, and the whole crew, we're going to be doing damage on that line. So I think we walk away with the victory, and frankly, I think we walk away with it with at least 2 scores or more over the Rams. So that's my prediction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Steph, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. It was an amazing opportunity to have you on. I'm wishing you the best. If you want to, you can hang around for affirmations. If you'd like to sign off, go ahead and sign off. But
can you explain what I know what affirmations are, like in yoga, like I do yoga and like affirmations, but
okay,
what does affirmations mean for your podcast?
All right, here's what's gonna happen. All right, you don't have to do it, but now you're stuck with me. All right, and if you feel uncomfortable, just slowly yeah I think I'm in control of you leaving, so either you cut your internet or you just deal with it. But I think you'll like it. I think it's healthy. I think people are grateful for it. Okay, so first of all, this track is watermarked, so you've got to kind of like duck and weave the watermark. All right.
Artlist.io.
And so this like that. So this is how it
You
works.
got
You
a
go,
producer tag?
no, it's just me not wanting to pay for the music. Okay, so you go, Ambry Thomas, I think you can
Music
overcome
licensing
your issues
reimagined.
and become an exceptional player at the nickel position. And I know that if you put your mind to it, you will do incredible things. It's like that. So that's how that works.
Okay.
Do you want to do one, or do you want to just watch me do it? It's okay, and there's no pressure. Are we matching?
Kind of.
Let's
a little bit. We didn't even
go.
plan
Come
this.
on.
Anyway, and I noticed you have like a little silver chain too.
Yeah, I do. Wow. Okay.
So it looks like your drip is,
Artlist.io.
moving on up too.
Hey, I'm just trying to get like you, big dog. So here's one. Fucking
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, dude. That shit sucks. I know, you're kind of a weird guy, so you're kind
Music
of like,
licensing reimagined.
you're kind of like bait for jokes every now and then, but like, that sucks, dude. I respect the hell out of you. You're one of the best quarterbacks who's ever played. You rallied that city like no one I've seen in my lifetime, including Brett Favre. And it was a shame to see that happen. But I know that if you're committed to the recovery, you can come back, you can do amazing things, and you can put together a season that would be comeback player of the year material, no matter how the season goes. Ooh, that was a good one. I can't believe I'm like holding you hostage, dude. It's hilarious. If you, I'll do like one or two more. If you feel like jumping in, just let me know.
Okay.
But this is
Music
good. It's hella
licensing
negativity.
reimagined.
So
Yeah,
this
it's
is my
true.
way to like,
This is true.
combat that. Oh, fucking Jake Moody, dog. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dog. Hell fucking yeah,
Yes,
dude.
sir.
You did exactly what everyone needed you to do, and you did it with authority. Like there weren't any like questionable, like, oh, barely made that kick. Like you fucking did it, bro. I appreciate that, and I know Jason Aponte does too.
Artlist.io.
Let me do one more. God, here's a good one. I mean, Brock Purdy, you're legit. You already know.
I can do one.
Yeah.
I'll
See,
do
I like it.
Okay. Colton McKivitz, I know that week 1 was tough for you.
Music
Look, week
licensing
2,
reimagined.
we believe in you. All right? I don't believe any of the doubters and what they said about you after week 1, okay? You watched the tape. Those other bozos did not watch the tape. All right? And you can overcome this with the easy fixes that you talked about. Right? You just got to believe it. I know you got Aaron Donald on deck and whoever else is on the edge there. But I believe in you, and I think you could improve.
I'm so happy you came in on that.
That felt good.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. It's one of my favorite segments. Like honestly, like it's the best segment to leave
It's
on.
healing.
It is. It's cathartic because you're like forgiving the players you were mad at. Steph is a pro at this. See, that's what I'm trying to tell her.
Yes, sir.
I'm putting this one up because it's a good one. Juking through that watermark. That's exactly how it feels. Like I'm kind of getting a feel when the watermark happens, so I'm bobbing and weaving as I go. So anyways, that's the show. Steph, I want to just say thank you so much one more time. Seriously, it means a lot. I'm glad you jumped in on affirmations. That was a really good one, and so I had to end it there. So appreciate the time. I'm going to go ahead and sign you off and then sign off everyone else. So thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Peace. Thanks for having me on, man.
Of course. Take care.
Good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. I'm going to go get my toolkit. I'm going to get Kyle 5000 put back together the way I know he's supposed to be. Go ahead and talk to him on Twitter. He's an asshole per usual, but at the end of the day, he's a pretty nice guy, I guess. Very smart, at least. And that's it. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, please subscribe. Like, I'm trying to figure this shit out. And if you're here and you think this was kind of interesting, subscribe, like, leave a comment, tell your parents you're proud of me. Write me a letter or send me a telegram. Just do something that lets me know this is all worth it. Because I got blue rubber gloves on and a bunch of trading cards. And I know that somewhere out there that Tyrone Braxton is proud of me. So thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate it. And 49ers, let's fuck the Rams up. Let's go.